Have you ever felt completely out of place in a world that never stops talking? While everyone else thrives in the noise, you find yourself constantly looking for the exit. Biologically, your brain is just wired differently. Welcome to the quiet power of the introvert. People often look at your silence and misinterpret it as something it isn't. They might label you as cold, arrogant, or simply distant from the world. Society assumes that your desire to be alone stems from fear or shyness. There is a constant, subtle pressure telling you that you need to blend in. And for a long time, you might have tried to force yourself to fit. But your preference for solitude is not a flaw that needs fixing. In psychology, introversion is recognized as a unique way of navigating existence. It all comes down to how your brain responds to a chemical called dopamine. Extroverts crave high levels of dopamine, which they get from buzzing social environments. But for you, too much dopamine quickly turns into overwhelming overstimulation. You thrive on a different pathway, finding comfort in lower levels of stimulation. This is why quiet spaces feel like a breath of fresh air to you. You are not antisocial. You are deeply and beautifully selective. Your mind operates like a deep ocean rather than a shallow puddle. While others are busy talking, you are busy noticing the things they miss. There is a massive difference between being lonely and choosing sacred solitude. For you, solitude is the ultimate well where creativity and self-awareness grow. If you have ever doubted your value, it is time to understand yourself better. Let's look at the psychological reasons behind your need to constantly withdraw. Recognizing these signs will change the way you view your quiet nature forever. Starting with the most fundamental concept of all, the hidden mechanics of your energy. For an introvert, social interaction is like a battery that constantly drains over time. It is not that you hate people, you just have a very strict limit, and the only way to recharge that battery is through absolute, uninterrupted solitude. To you, trivial small talk feels like a heavy investment of precious energy. Large group dynamics force your brain to process too many inputs at once. Psychologists call the aftermath of this overstimulation an introvert hangover. It can manifest as real physical fatigue, brain fog, or intense irritability. Your mind triggers a silent alarm, begging you to find a quiet corner. Suddenly, the desire to just disappear and go home becomes overwhelming. In these moments, cancelled plans don't feel like a disappointment, they feel like freedom. You realize that guarding your energy is a necessity, not a selfish act. When you say no to an invitation, others might take it personally. But it has absolutely nothing to do with how much you value them. It is simply your nervous system demanding a return to its baseline state. Your personal space isn't a prison, it is a sacred sanctuary. Without the noise of the world, your brain finally begins to unpack the day. When you are out, your brain absorbs every sound, expression, and shifting mood. This intense focus creates a massive cognitive load that extroverts rarely experience. Coming home allows you to finally turn off that internal radar. To an introvert, doing absolutely nothing is a highly productive activity. Sometimes, you don't even mind being around people, as long as they are silent. This parallel play is the highest form of comfort for a quiet mind. Slowly, in the quiet safety of these moments, the battery begins to fill again. As your energy returns, a profound mental clarity takes the place of exhaustion. But remember, deep recovery cannot be rushed in a single hour. Spending an entire weekend alone isn't a waste of time, it's a biological reset. Once you accept this need, you stop apologizing for your boundaries. A fully recharged introvert is focused, deeply intuitive, and incredibly resilient. You learn to navigate the loud world without letting it colonize your peace. If you recognize this cycle, you are already halfway to mastering it. But energy is only the surface of the psychological mystery. What actually happens inside your brain when the external noise finally dies down? That brings us to the second core sign of the introverted mind. The fascinating mechanism of high-level internal processing and deep thought. Let's open the door to how your mind constructs its own reality. Prepare to discover why your silence is actually your greatest analytical tool. While you might look quiet on the outside, your inner world is incredibly loud. Introverts possess a high level of internal processing, constantly analyzing every single detail. You observe, you reflect, and you create deep, meaningful connections inside your mind. Neurologically, stimuli travel through a longer pathway in an introvert's brain. This pathway passes through areas associated with long-term memory, planning, and deep emotion. This is why you often pause before speaking. You are carefully choosing your words. You don't talk just to fill the silence. You speak when you have something substantial to say. However, this deep processing can sometimes spiral into the trap of overthinking. You might find yourself replaying a conversation from 3 days ago, analyzing what went wrong. Your internal critic can be harsh, dissecting minor details that others completely forgot. To anchor this intense mental energy, introverts naturally gravitate toward deeply focused hobbies. Whether it's writing, painting, or coding, your mind finds peace in creation. Your imagination is a vast landscape, capable of building entire worlds from scratch. Because you look at things from multiple angles, you excel at finding unique solutions. When you enter a state of hyperfocus, the entire external world completely vanishes. This deep internal processing also makes you highly empathetic to the pain of others. You don't just see a sad face, you actually absorb the heavy emotional energy. This emotional absorption is beautiful, but it can be incredibly draining over time. Therefore, withdrawing into your shell is often an act of psychological self-defense. You need space to untangle the chaotic emotions you've gathered from the outside world. You find immense joy in quiet, solo discoveries that others might find boring. In conversations, you excel at reading between the lines and noticing unspoken truths. When people come to you for advice, they receive deep, well-thought-out wisdom. Accepting your active, quiet brain is the key to unlocking your true potential. Learn to distinguish between productive deep thinking and destructive brooding. When the thoughts become too heavy, give yourself permission to just let them go. Ground yourself in the physical world to avoid getting lost in the abstract. Your silent processing is not a sign of hesitation, it is the mark of a thoughtful mind. This internal depth directly shapes how you form connections with other human beings. It leads us directly to the third major pillar of the introverted psychology: the profound rule of choosing absolute quality over superficial quantity in relationships. Let's explore why a tiny circle of friends is actually a badge of honor. Discover what it truly means to be a loyal, selective companion in a loud world. Get ready to redefine your understanding of friendship, intimacy, and true loyalty. You carefully choose who gets access to your limited and precious social energy. You do not need 100 surface-level friends when one deep connection is enough. Superficial networking and forced pleasantries often feel incredibly exhausting to your soul. You crave substance, vulnerability, and conversations that actually mean something. A small social circle is not a sign of loneliness, it's a deliberate choice. When an introvert trusts you, they share a world of hidden thoughts and secrets. Your loyalty is fierce, quiet, and absolutely unwavering through the toughest storms. However, introverts must watch out for the quiet trap of people-pleasing. Because you listen so deeply, you can easily absorb other people's toxic drama. Learning to say a firm no is an essential act of self-preservation. Stepping back into your solitary space allows you to reset these emotional boundaries. You don't owe the world an instant reply to every digital demand. True friends understand that your silence is never a sign of rejection. You can pick up exactly where you left off, even after months of absence. When you do give someone your time, you give them your whole, undivided presence. Filtering out the social noise is how you keep your sanity intact. Your small circle is a powerful fortress of genuine love and mutual respect. You choose a lifestyle built on depth, rather than wide, shallow expansion. This wisdom allows you to nurture relationships that genuinely help you grow. You have the quiet strength to walk away from connections that drain you. Embracing this selective intimacy frees you from the constant guilt of withdrawal. With the right people, you don't have to wear a mask or pretend. Your support system is silent, efficient, and incredibly grounded in reality. Celebrate your tiny tribe, they are the ones who truly hear your silence. Now that we have explored your energy, your thoughts, and your connections, it is time to step into the ultimate truth of your quiet identity. It is time to completely stop apologizing for who you biologically are. Let's discover how to turn your introversion into an absolute superpower. Realize that the world doesn't just need loud voices, it desperately needs quiet minds. Welcome to the final chapter of your empowerment. Let's step inside. So, never feel guilty for wanting to step back and just be alone. Your need for space is a biological truth, not a personal failure. The world doesn't just need leaders who speak, it needs minds that listen. Your ability to listen deeply allows you to understand what others miss. Your creative solitude is a gift that builds empires of thought. You do not need to change who you are to fit a loud society. Embrace the unique wiring of your beautiful, complex introverted mindset. Quiet leadership is built on empathy, reflection, and strategic vision. Rest assured that your chosen few friends are all you ever need. Keep filtering out the unnecessary noise to protect your internal peace. Honor your energy boundaries every single day without an ounce of regret. Living a life of profound depth is your greatest legacy. True happiness begins when you finally feel comfortable in your own skin. Your ultimate sanctuary is not a place, it is within yourself. Step into tomorrow knowing that your quiet nature is a massive asset. You are perfectly fine exactly the way you were created. So take a deep breath, trust your journey, and embrace the silence. Your silence is not a weakness. It is your ultimate, quiet strength.